I'll be sharing my screen now. Can you see the screen? Hello, can you see the screen? Okay, okay. So yesterday we started logical implication and rules of inference, isn't it? Do you remember what we had studied yesterday? Anyone? Do you remember what we had studied yesterday? Where did you write? Where did you write? Anurag, till where did you write yesterday in class? Hello? Anurag, can you hear me? Atul? Rules of inference. Yes, still and rule of inference, we had studied certain points in that, isn't it? What are those important points? Rules of inference, we studied what an argument is. So, an argument means you will be given a set of statements, and these set of statements are called premises. Okay, the set of statements here are called premises. Okay, so here we have P1 as one premise, P2 as another premise, P3 another premise, etc. We are given n premises. And each of these premises means a condition or a statement. And we don't know the truth or falsity of that statement, but we have to prove that these statements are true. And to prove these statements are true, in logical reasoning, we have P1 and P2, and we take the conjunction of all the premises. And conjunction means the entire premises becomes true only when all the premises are true. That is, if any one of the premises turns out to be false, then the entire conjunction turns out to be false. So if all these premises are true, we are taking the conjunction. So in logical reasoning, we know that if only all the truth values are 1, then the output is 1. So here also, if all the premises are true, then this statement, the conclusion, here Q is called the conclusion, isn't it? This conclusion will be true when all these given statements are true. And if all these are true, then the conclusion Q is also true, and we call it as a valid argument. Okay. So P1, P2, etc., they are called the premises of the argument, and the statement Q is called the conclusion. Now, valid argument means for a valid argument, the premises P1, P2, etc., Pn will be true, and the conclusion. And since the premises are true, the conclusion is true. Since all these premises are true, the conclusion is true. We don't know whether the conclusion is true or false, but if we are proving that this is true, if this statement is true, then we can say that Q is also true. Q will be given to us. We don't know whether Q is true or false, and we are trying to prove this statement. If this statement is true, then Q is true. And that's what we studied yesterday. Okay. Then, and we did this example 1, and given certain premises to show that the conclusion is true, we have to take the conjunction of all the premises, and this implies Q. We know the truth table of all conjunction and implication, so we can find out the truth value by using two methods. This also we had done yesterday. logical implication. So this simple means that logically, P logically implies Q. Okay, I said the differences between all the symbols yesterday. I wrote it on the board, told you to write it down. So all these symbols are different. Okay, the four symbols are different. So you are, I think you had written it down yesterday. Then now, to prove that it is a valid argument or whether it is an invalid argument, I had given this as as a homework to you. You hope you might have done it. You have to submit your books. So, and I think I started with yesterday we completed till here. Okay. Now going to part 4. This is what we started yesterday. That is to check the validity of arguments. To check the validity of arguments, we want to check whether a given argument is true or whether a given argument is false. So there are two methods. The first method is the truth table method, which you had done earlier, and the second method is using rules of inference. So here we have to study certain rules. Instead of drawing big truth tables, as you know, it is difficult to draw truth tables if there are a large number of premises. So here in this example, here we have n number of premises, and we had drawn the truth table for 3 premises. That truth table itself is a big one. So we have to, that method of proving using truth table is very difficult. So we go on to the rules of inferences which can be used to find out the solution. That is whether to find out whether a given conclusion is true or false. So to prove that this premise, this conclusion C is true, we have to prove that P and P1 and P2, all the premises, the conjunction of all the premises implies the conclusion is a tautology. So this is one statement that you should keep in mind while applying this rule of inference. That is, to prove that certain premises are true, you have to prove that this statement, this particular statement is a tautology. Okay, to prove, you have to prove that this particular statement is a tautology. Is it clear? Is it clear? Hello? I think we stopped with that yesterday. Hello? Any doubt till that portion? Shall I move on to the rules? Shall I move on to the rules? Okay, Akshara. Okay, okay, Adarsh. So now let us see what the rules are. Just like we studied the rules for logical reasoning, that is with conjunctions and disjunctions, we had studied 10 rules like associative law, idempotent law, distributive law, etc. We had studied all those 10 rules. Here we have to study for implication, we have to study around 12 rules. That is, to prove whether a given statement is valid or not, we use implication. And for this implication, related to implication or related to rules of inference, we have around 12 rules. Okay, we have to study around 12 rules of inference. So next method of proving whether a statement, whether a given set of premises is valid or not, is by using rules of inference. So here in rules of inference, it is a list of techniques for proving the validity of arguments. These rules are used to prove the validity of arguments. Okay, these rules are used to prove the validity of arguments, and it eliminates the effort taken into constructing truth tables. So we needn't construct any big truth table here. Instead of constructing truth tables, we can use logical rules to find out whether a given set of premises is valid or not. Okay, so now let us see what those rules are. Here there are two basic rules, and based on these two basic rules, we will be we will be solving the and we will be proving whether the propositions, the conjunction of the proposed premises are true or not. So now next write the heading two basic rules. The two basic rules. Under rules of inference, we have two basic rules, and you will be able to understand what these rules mean only when we start proving the premises. So just write down that there are two rules. We will apply these two rules later in our proofs. Okay. So there is one rule called Rule P. It's named as Rule P. That is, a premise may be introduced at any step in the derivation. We are going to derive whether a conclusion is or whether an argument is true or false. And to prove whether an argument is true or false, we have to take each premise. We are given n premises. We have to take each of the premise, and from these premises, we have to derive the conclusion Q. So any premise can be taken at any step in the derivation. That is what Rule P means. We can take any premise from the given set of premises in any step. There is no strict rule that the first premise should be taken first, the second one should be taken second. No such rule is there. Any premise can be taken at any step in the derivation process, and that is called Rule P. Any premise, you will be given n set of premises. As we said earlier, there are how many premises? There are P1 to P1, P2, etc. There will be Pn premises, isn't it? See, there will be n premises. P1 and, see, the general form is like this, isn't it? P1 and P2 and P3 and etc. Pn, isn't it? Implies Q. This is the general form of an argument. This is the general form of an argument. Here, P1, P2, etc., they are called premises. And Q is called the conclusion. What we have to do is, we have to take each premise at a time. We have to take P1 or P2. Any premise can be taken first, and we can, and taking P1, P2, we can prove another statement, say R, and from R we can take P4 and prove another statement. Likewise, we can take any premise at any stage and then prove that we will reach the conclusion. So Rule P says that any premise can be taken at any step in the derivation process. It is not necessary that we take P1 first, then P2. There is no such rule. So you can even start with P3 in your derivation process. So in the first step, if I want to take premise P3, I can take P3 and start my reasoning process. So any premise can be taken at any step in the derivation process, and that is what Rule P says. You will understand it clearly when we start proving the arguments. So that is Rule P says. Just write it down now. We will come to it later. Okay. So write down that Rule P. Any premise may be introduced at any step in the derivation process. Any premise may be introduced. Rule P. We have two basic rules. One is Rule P, and that rule is named as Rule P, and it says that a premise may be introduced at any step in the derivation process. Next, another rule is Rule T. The second rule is Rule T. So these two are the basic rules in reasoning process to prove that whether a given argument is valid or not. Next is Rule T. You will understand it when we come to the derivation process. So Rule T says that a formula S, we are going to study a lot of formulas again. We can introduce a formula at any step in the derivation process if this formula S is a tautology. If we find S to be a tautology, then we can introduce it in any step of the derivation process. Okay, this is the rule T. If you find that a particular formula S is a tautology during the derivation process, we can introduce S at any step in the derivation process. So just write down these rules. We will come to it later. A formula S may be introduced in the derivation if S is a tautology implied by one or more preceding formulas in the derivation. During our derivation process, if any formula turns out to be a tautology, then we can use that formula S later in our derivation. If during the derivation process, if any formula S turns out to be a tautology, then we can use this formula in the later steps of the derivation process. That is what rule T means. Okay, so these are the two basic rules. Now we are going, did you write those rules? Did you write down those rules? Hello, did you write down those rules? Or you want me to wait? You want me to wait? Rule P and rule T. Okay, two basic rules in reasoning. Rule P and rule T. T means tautology. T stands for tautology here. Here this rule T means tautology. That is, a formula becomes a tautology. If a formula becomes a tautology, then it can be used in our derivation process. Then here P, rule P, here the P stands for premise. That is, a premise can be introduced at any step in the derivation process because we have n premises. Given n premises, any premise can be used in any step in the derivation process. So this P here indicates its premise and T here indicates tautology. So that is why it's named as rule P and rule T. Okay. Now, here we have to study around 10 rules. And the first rule is rule of inference. Now we are going to study the rules of inference. Now give the heading rules of inference, and we are going to study the first rule. It is called modus ponens, or the rule of detachment. Earlier, we studied formulas, isn't it? We had studied certain rules related to conjunction and disjunction. We had around 10 rules, but here we are going to study rules related to this implication, because implication implication is what we check for when we are proving arguments. So here these formulas will be often related to implication. But earlier when we studied, whenever there is an implication, we converted it into conjunctions and disjunction. But here, even if there is implication, we can use these rules to derive conclusions. Okay. So write down the first rule, modus ponens, or the rule of detachment. Instead of the rule of detachment, the common word used is always modus ponens. Okay. Is it clear? Did you write the heading? Did you write the heading? The first rule. Rule 1. Rule 1 is modus ponens. Modus ponens. Now let us see what this modus ponens is. See this modus ponens, the name modus ponens, just I had written it in my notes down here. I'll be uploading it in Linway so you can study all this. Modus ponens comes from the Latin word and it may be translated as method of affirmation. It comes from the Latin word and it is called the method of affirmation. The term modus ponens means the method of affirmation. You're going to affirm something, that whether it is true or false. So that is called method of affirmation. Now let us see what this rule is, modus ponens rule. So the rule is expressed by the logical implication P and P implies Q implies Q. Okay, P and P implies Q. Write down that form. The rule. This is a rule. That is, if there is a proposition P and if there is a premise P and if there is a premise P and if there is another premise P implies Q, when we take these two premises, where anyway premise we take the conjunction of premises, it gives the result Q. So Q should be here. Only then you will get Q. P and P implies Q. This rule is called modus ponens. P and P implies Q. So this is the first rule, and that rule is named as modus ponens. You have to study these rules, okay? You have to by heart these rules. Only then you will be able to solve problems. Did you write it down? Did you write it down? Okay, Akshita. Okay, Ajay. So modus ponens means P and P implies Q. So here we have one premise P. This is our P1. This is our P2. So this is of the form P1 and P2 implies Q. Okay, this is an argument, isn't it? This is an argument, and if P1 is P and if P2 is P1 implies Q, then the argument implies Q is true. Okay. So P and P implies Q. This rule is called modus ponens. P and P implies Q. Is it clear? Now, to show that this is a valid argument, what will you do? To show whether it is a valid argument, what can you do? How will you prove that this is a valid argument? To prove that it is a valid argument, you have two methods, either using truth table or you can use rules of inference. So you just draw the truth table, leave some space to draw the truth table there. Okay. Leave some space to draw the truth table. You have to complete the truth table after the class as a homework. And finally, what will be the output of that? What will be the last column of the truth table? What will be the last column of the truth table? What will be the last column? Anyone? P and P implies Q. Okay, implies Q. You have to draw the truth table. And to prove that it is a valid argument, what should be the output of this truth table? How will you construct truth table? You have variable P, you have variable Q, then you have to find out P implies Q, then you have to find out P and P implies Q, and in the last column you have to find out this formula. If you have obtained all these left hand side, then you have to find out this formula. And what should be the output? If it is a valid argument, what will be the output of this column? It is a valid argument. What will be the output of that column? Anyone? We had proved it yesterday. This is how you construct the truth table, okay? You have to draw columns of P, Q, P or Q, P and P implies Q, then P and P implies Q, and then finally you have to find out this formula. You know the truth table of implication and all, and conjunction also, you know the truth table, so you can find out this formula. I'm asking, what will be the output of the last column obtained? You have various 0, 0, 0, you have only two variables, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, isn't it? So what will be the output of the last column? Anyone? What will be the true? Okay, very good, Akash. all the output turns out to be 1, which means it is a tautology. If it is a tautology, then this is a valid argument. And modus ponens says it is a tautology, so it is a valid argument. Isn't it? The rule says that it is a tautology. So we are trying to prove, we are trying to check whether the rule is true. And to check whether this rule is true, we have to draw the truth table. And finally, when we draw the truth table, the last column, it turns out to be what? The last column turns out to be a tautology. That is, all the entries in the last column will be 1, isn't it? Did you understand? Did you understand what I said? Is it clear? Okay, so according to all rules, we study all these rules because they are tautologies. That's why we are studying all these rules. And we have just checked whether that rule is true. And to check whether that particular rule is true, we can draw the truth table. Is it clear? So this is how the truth table looks. You have to, when you find write in the last column, it will be all ones. And if the truth table, if in a truth table for every possible combination of truth values, if it is 1, then it is called a tautology. And for we said that for a valid argument, this will turn out to be a tautology. In the definition itself, we said if for a valid argument, this the conjunction of the premises turns out to be a tautology. Implies Q turns out to be a tautology. So, next. So that is modus ponens. Study this formula by heart. P and P implies Q. Now, I had written here the 4th row. We have all the ones to be true. The conclusion is true. So this is another method for representing the rule. And this we call it as the tabular form. To represent the rules, the modus ponens or the rules of inferences, we have a method called the tabular form. So you write this again. The rule can be expressed in tabular form as follows. In the next sentence, after drawing the truth table, you have to write this sentence. This rule can be expressed in tabular form as follows. This rule can be expressed in tabular form as follows. Okay, to write it in tabular form, what you do is take the premises. So in that rule, what are the premises? What are the premises in modus ponens? What are the premises? We have P and P implies Q. The entire thing implies Q. This is modus ponens. So we have the premise. This is one premise, P1. Or those separated by conjunctions are premises. This is another premise, P2. So in tabular form, to represent the same rule in tabular form, we have to write the first premise. Below that, write the second premise, P2. Then you draw a line, and below that you put a therefore symbol and write Q. Okay, write Q. 1 minute, this is not getting clear. Is it clear? 1 minute. So in tabular form, if you want to represent in tabular form, how will you write it in tabular form? Write the first premise first, then write the second premise. Write premise P1 first, and below P1 you can write P1 first. Below that you write P2. Draw a line, put therefore symbol, and write Q. This is how you represent this entire formula in tabular form. Now, when you represent it in tabular form, how will the formula look like? Can you write the formula now? How will the formula look like if you are representing in tabular form? In tabular form, we can write the given premise as P. Then, the next premise as per modus ponens is P implies Q. Draw a line, put therefore simple and write Q. This is mod exponents in tabular form. Okay, this is mod exponents in tabular form. Did you write it down? Did you write it down? Did you write the tabular form? Hello? The same formula, instead of conjunctions, we can represent it in tabular form. Hello, can you hear me? Did you write the tabular form? Anyone please respond? Hello? Okay. Then, all formulas can be written in tabular form. Now, write this example. Example 1. The first premise. 1 is Linda wins a $10 million lottery. Linda wins a $10 million lottery. Next, 2. The second premise, 2. If Linda wins a $10 million lottery, then K-A-Y-K, this is K-A-Y-K, name of a person. Okay, Linda is the name of a person, K is another person. So then K will quit her job. This is the second premise. Then the third premise starts with therefore. So any statement that starts with therefore is conclusion. So you can the last statement is the conclusion. So K will quit her job is the conclusion. Okay, so by the side I had written according to mod exponents. The first one is the preposition P. The second one starts with if. Then because it is an implication, so it is of the form P implies Q. And the third statement starts with therefore, so that it is a conclusion. So therefore, it is a conclusion. So in mod exponents, we can represent the rule as mod exponents rule is P, the first proposition P. Below that you write the second premise, that is P implies Q, and third statement is a conclusion. So draw a line and you therefore write Q. So here in this premise P, we can convert these statements. Okay, isn't it? We can convert these statements. Did you write this much? Did you write it? Did you write it down? Did you write the example or should I wait? Hello? Did you write down the example? Okay, now we are going on to an example C. Now here I had represented this P as R or S, and wherever there is P, it is R or S, and wherever there is Q, it is not T and U. Okay, so if this is a particular set of premises, then it is of the mod exponents form, that is P implies Q. And finally, if these are the premises, then we can say that this not T and U is a valid argument by rule of detachment of the mod exponents. The mod exponents is also called rule of detachment. So this formula I had written just to show you that it is of mod exponents form. Okay, this formula is written to show you that it is of mod exponents. This formula is a mod exponents form. Just note that this is of mod exponents form. Since this R or S can be taken as P, then this here also it turns out to be P implies, and if you take this as Q, it is of the form P, P implies Q, and so the conclusion is Q. This is true. So any statement instead of P, you can substitute any statement. Here I had written R or S. So wherever there is P, if you write R or S, and wherever there is Q, if you substitute this formula, then it becomes mod exponents, and this turns out to be a valid argument if it is of mod exponents form. So just note this down. This is of mod exponents form, since if you represent this as P, again you have P here also, and if you represent this as Q, the entire formula as Q, then the conclusion Q turns out to be true. It is not necessary, this P, capital P and Q and all, they represents prepositions, compound prepositions. Then so that was the first law, and that is mod exponents. So next class we will study the next law, and that is modus tollens, law of syllogism. Okay. So we had studied one law, mod exponents. Study that formula. The syntax, the formula should come to your mind when you are solving problems. You have to solve a lot of arguments here. You have to prove a lot of arguments whether they are valid or not. And to check whether arguments are valid, you should be able to apply these formulas, and so you should know those formulas by heart. What is mod exponents, what is modus tollens, etc. There are around 12 formulas. Okay. Any doubts? Any doubt? If you have any doubt, just ask me in the next class, okay? Now, say your attendance. Number 1.
Present.
Number 1.
1.
Abhinav. Okay. Next. Number 2. 3. Then next.
5.
6.
7.
8.
9.
10.
11. Okay. Next. 12.
12.
13.
14. Next. 15. 15. Ashbin. 15 absent. 16. Next. 17 present. Then next.
18.
18. Okay.
19.
Next. Okay.
20.
Next.
21.
Next.
22.
Next. 23 absent. 24.
24.
25.
26.
27. Next. 28. 28 absent.
29. 30.
31. 31 absent.
32.
32.
33.
Number 32 absent.
32.
33 present. 34. Number 34. Isha, are you present?
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you say attendance?
Ma'am, 31%.
The attendance പറയുന്ന സമയത്ത്
Miss മൈക്കാണോന്നില്ലേ?
Okay, 33 present, then 34.
34%.
35.
35.
Next.
36.
Next.
37.
Next.
38.
38. Okay, next 39.
39.
Next 40. 40 absent.
41.
40. Okay, 40. Next one 42.
42.
Next 43. Absent. 44.
44.
Next.
45.
Next.
46.
Next. Next.
48.
49.
47 absent. 48, 49, 50, 50 absent. 51,
51.
52 present, 53 present. Next 54, 54 absent. 55.
55.
Next.
56.
Next 57. Sriraj. 57 absent. 57, are you present?
58.
Okay,
59.
58. 60. Okay, next 61. 61 absent. 62.
62.
63.
63.
Okay, absent is 61. 57.
57%.
52. Okay, 57 present. Then 54. 50. 47. Then 28. 23. And 15. Okay. 50%. Okay, Sarang. 47. Punya. Why are you not saying your attendance?
No, ma'am, Parni.
Okay. Okay, thank you.